Disclaimer.
They said I was strong. I died protecting my son, but I left him exposed.
My name is Janae Lorraine Mitchell. I am 29 years old. I died for 9 minutes on March 22, 2024 in Christchurch, New Zealand.
I grew up watching my mother beg. I grew up watching her cry on the kitchen floor, phone pressed to her ear, asking my father to come home. Before I begin, please subscribe so more people can hear testimonies like this. Just one more time. I grew up watching her shrink herself, apologize for things that were not her fault, and wait by the window for a man who never stayed. I promised myself I would never be her. I built my life on that promise. I worked hard. I graduated with honors. I moved to New Zealand for a fresh start, a marketing job that paid well, and a chance to build something no one could take from me. When I got pregnant at 22, and Elijah's father walked away before the first ultrasound, I did not fall apart. I did not beg. I stood up, wiped my face, and decided right then I would never need a man again. Elijah became my world. I worked late, saved every dollar, moved us into a clean apartment in Christchurch with 2 bedrooms and a view of the hills. I attended church most Sundays. I smiled. I said the right things. I sang the hymns. But deep down, I kept a wall around my heart, high, thick, unshakable. I told myself it was protection. I told myself it was strength. I told myself I was doing what my mother should have done. But I never asked if we were truly protected. There were moments. Small moments I brushed off. Pastor Marcus stopped me one Sunday after service, his hand resting gently on my shoulder. He had kind eyes, the kind that saw more than you wanted them to see. Sister Janae, he said quietly, I have been praying for you and Elijah. I would love to come by, pray over your home, anoint the doors, just cover you both spiritually. I smiled. Polite? Controlled. I appreciate that, Pastor. Really? But we are fine. We have got this. He nodded slowly, but I saw something flicker in his expression. Concern. Maybe sadness. He did not push. He just said, my door is always open. I walked away quickly, Elijah's small hand in mine, and I did not look back. There was another moment. Brother Thompson, an older man in the congregation, a father figure to many, tried to talk to me about raising a son without a father. He meant well. I knew that. But the moment he started, I felt my chest tighten, my jaw clench. Sister, I just want to encourage you, boys need guidance, especially at Elijah's age. If you ever need me to step in, take him to a game, talk to him man to man. I cut him off. I know my son. I have got this. He raised his hands gently, backing off. I understand. Just offering. I turned and walked away, my arms crossed, my heart pounding. I told myself I was protecting Elijah from being disappointed by men. I told myself I was keeping him safe. But I was really keeping everyone out. Even my mother tried. She called one evening while I was cooking dinner, Elijah coloring at the table. Her voice was soft, careful. Janae, baby. I know you have been through a lot. But you cannot do this alone forever. You have to let someone in. A good man. A godly man. I gripped the phone tighter. My voice came out sharper than I intended. And end up like you. Waiting for someone who never shows up. No thanks, Mama. The silence on the other end was heavy. I heard her breathe in, slow and shaky. I just do not want you to be alone, baby. I am not alone. I have Elijah. I have God. That is enough. I hung up before she could respond. I stirred the pasta with trembling hands, my eyes burning. I told myself I was right. I told myself I was strong. But deep down, I was terrified. Terrified of being hurt. Terrified of being controlled. Terrified of needing someone and watching them leave. So I built my walls higher. And I lived behind them. But I did not see what was slipping through the cracks. Elijah started having nightmares. It began small, once a week, maybe twice. He would wake up crying, his little body shaking, his voice barely a whisper. "Mommy, they are back." I would walk into his room, sit on the edge of his bed, smooth his hair back. "It is just a bad dream, baby. Nothing is there." "But I see them," he would say, his eyes wide, his hands gripping my arm. "The shadows. They stand in the corner. They watch me." I turned on the nightlight. I checked the closet. I left the door cracked open. I told him it was his imagination, too much screen time, maybe something he saw at school. I bought him a new stuffed animal. I played calming music. But I never prayed with authority. I never anointed his room. I never called Pastor Marcus. I never asked Brother Thompson to come and pray over our home. I handled it alone. With logic. With solutions I could control. The nightmares got worse. 3 times a week. Then every night. Elijah stopped wanting to sleep. He clung to me, his small voice trembling. "Mommy, please, do not leave me alone." I held him. I rocked him. I told him I was there. But I never called for help. I never admitted I was in over my head. I thought I was protecting him. I thought I had everything under control. I did not realize we were exposed. March 22nd, 2024. A Thursday. I had a late meeting in the city, a presentation for a new campaign that could not wait. I texted the babysitter, kissed Elijah on the forehead, and promised I would be home before bedtime. "Love you, Mommy," he said, his small arms wrapped around my neck. "Love you more, baby." I walked out the door, my laptop bag over my shoulder, my mind already running through slides and talking points. I did not know it would be the last time I held him while I was alive. The meeting ran late. By the time I got back to my car, the sky was dark, and rain was starting to fall. I checked my phone. A message from the sitter: "Elijah is asleep. All good here." I exhaled, started the engine, and pulled onto the southern motorway. The rain picked up. The windshield wipers moved back and forth in a steady rhythm. The road was slick, reflecting headlights like a mirror. I was tired. Exhausted. My mind was scattered, thinking about the presentation, about bills, about Elijah's nightmares, about everything and nothing all at once. I just wanted to get home. I just wanted to crawl into bed and sleep. I had no idea I was driving toward the edge of eternity. The rain came harder now. Sheets of water blurred the road ahead. I leaned forward, gripping the wheel tighter, my eyes straining to see the white lines. The highway curved gently to the left, and I followed it, my foot easing off the gas. Then my phone buzzed. Just once. A message lighting up the passenger seat. I glanced down. 1 second. Maybe 2. When I looked up, I was drifting into the next lane. My heart lurched. I jerked the wheel to the right, overcorrecting, my tires losing grip on the wet asphalt. The car swayed. I tried to steady it, my breath catching, my pulse hammering in my ears. But the tires would not hold. The car spun. Slowly at first, then faster. The world outside the windows became a blur of lights and rain and darkness. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. My hands locked on the wheel, useless, powerless. I saw the concrete barrier coming. Solid. Grey. Unforgiving. Time slowed. I saw every detail. The raindrops froze mid-air. The cracks in the barrier. The reflection of my headlights. Then, impact. The sound was deafening. Metal crunching, glass shattering, the airbag exploding into my face with a violent force that knocked the air from my lungs. My head snapped forward, then back. Pain shot through my neck, my chest, my ribs. And then, nothing. Silence. Complete, suffocating silence. I tried to move. I could not. I tried to open my eyes. They were already open. I tried to breathe. My chest would not rise. And then I felt it. A sensation I cannot fully describe. Like being pulled backward, yanked out of my own skin. My body stayed in the seat, but I did not. I was weightless. Floating. Hovering just above the wreckage. I looked down. My car was crushed against the barrier, steam rising from the hood. The driver's side door was caved in. The windshield was shattered. And there, slumped against the airbag, was me. My head was tilted to the side. Blood trickled from my forehead, down my cheek, pooling on my shoulder. My eyes were closed. My chest was not moving. I tried to scream. No sound came out. I tried to reach for myself, to shake my body awake. My hand passed through the door like smoke. Panic surged through me. This was not real. This could not be real. I was dreaming. I was unconscious. But I was not. I heard sirens in the distance, faint and muffled, like they were coming from underwater. I saw headlights slow down on the other side of the highway. Someone was calling for help. Someone was running toward the car. But I was not in the car anymore. I was outside of it. Watching. Helpless. I tried to call out to them. I tried to tell them I was here, I was awake, I was alive. But my voice. I had no voice. The rain fell through me. I felt nothing. No cold. Not wet. Just emptiness. And then the pull came. At first, it was gentle. A tugging sensation deep in my chest, like someone had tied a rope around my ribs and was pulling me backward. I resisted, trying to stay near my body, trying to hold on to something, anything. But the pull grew stronger. It was not pulling me up. It was pulling me down. Slowly at first. Like sinking underwater. The crash scene above me began to fade. The lights dimmed. The sounds of sirens and voices grew distant, echoing, hollow. I tried to pray. I opened my mouth to call on Jesus, to cry out for help, to beg for mercy. But the words would not come. They felt stuck. Trapped. Like something was pressing down on my throat, choking them back. The pull became violent. Faster. Heavier. Unstoppable. I was falling, but there was no wind. No air rushing past. Just darkness closing in from every side, thick and suffocating, like it was alive. I tried to look up, to see where I was falling from. But there was nothing above me. No sky. No stars. Just black. And below me, heat. Faint at first. Then stronger. Rising up to meet me like a wave. My chest tightened. My breathing, or the memory of it, quickened. My heart pounded even though I did not have a heartbeat anymore. I heard something. Distant. Faint. A sound I did not want to recognize. Weeping. Soft. Hollow. Echoing like it was coming from everywhere and nowhere all at once. The falling stopped. I landed hard. My feet hit something solid, rough, and unbearably hot. I stumbled forward, my legs shaking, my hands reaching out for balance. The ground beneath me was cracked stone, radiating heat that pressed into the soles of my feet. I looked down. The stone glowed faintly, like embers beneath ash. I looked up. Darkness. Thick, oppressive darkness. But not empty. There were shapes. Shadows. Human forms standing motionless in the distance. They did not move. They did not speak. They just stood there. Alone. Isolated. The air was thick, heavy, pressing against my chest like a weight. I tried to breathe, but every breath felt like inhaling smoke. My throat burned. My lungs ached. I heard the weeping again. Closer now. Not loud. Not screaming. Just broken. Hopeless. The sound of souls who had run out of tears, but could not stop crying. I turned in a circle, searching for light, for an exit, for something, anything that looked like hope. There was nothing. Just heat. Just darkness. Just the crushing, suffocating weight of regret pressing down on me like a physical force. I opened my mouth to scream, to call for help, to beg for someone to tell me this was not real. But before I could make a sound, I felt it. A presence. Not behind me. Not in front of me. Inside me. A whisper. Not with words. Not with sound. But with knowing. This is where truth begins. I fell to my knees. My hands pressed against the hot stone. My body shook. My mind screamed. This was not a dream. This was not a vision. This was not unconsciousness. This was real. And I was in hell. I stayed on my knees, my hands pressed flat against the burning stone. The heat seared into my palms, but I could not move. I could not think. I could only feel the crushing weight of where I was. Hell. I was in hell. The word itself felt too small for what surrounded me. This was not fire and brimstone like the paintings in Sunday school. This was something worse. It was absence. The absence of hope. The absence of light. The absence of any possibility that things could ever be different. I looked around slowly, my breath shallow and ragged. The stone beneath me stretched out in every direction, cracked and glowing faintly like dying embers. Smoke hung in the air, thick and suffocating, pressing down on my chest with every breath I tried to take. And the shadows. They stood motionless in the distance. Human shapes. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. I could not tell. They did not move. They did not speak. They just stood there, alone, separated by invisible walls of regret. I wanted to call out to them. I wanted to ask if they could hear me, if they knew where we were, if there was a way out. But my voice would not come. It felt trapped, swallowed by the weight of this place. The weeping continued. Soft. Broken. Echoing from everywhere and nowhere. It was not loud. It was not screaming. It was the sound of souls who had cried so long they had no tears left. But could not stop. I covered my ears, but it did not help. The sound was not outside me. It was inside me. It was the sound of regret made audible. My chest tightened. My throat burned. I tried to pray, tried to form the words I had said 1,000 times before. Jesus, please, help me. But the words felt heavy. They felt stuck. Like they were being weighed and found wanting. And then I felt it. A shift. The oppressive heat paused. The air grew still. The weeping faded into the background, replaced by a silence so complete it made my ears ring. Someone was there. Not in front of me. Not behind me. But beside me. Close enough to feel, though I saw nothing. A presence. Not physical. Not visible. But undeniable. It was not warm. It was not comforting. It was true. Pure, unfiltered, inescapable truth. And it saw everything. I tried to look, tried to turn my head toward it, but I could not. My body would not obey. All I could do was kneel there, trembling, exposed, unable to hide. I had prayed to God my whole life. I sang worship songs. I had attended church. I had read my Bible. But I had never felt Him like this. Not as comfortable. Not as grace. But it's true. And I was terrified. The voice spoke. Not with sound. Not with words I could hear. But with knowing. It bypassed my ears and went straight into my soul. You called it strength, but I called it rebellion. My breath caught. My body went rigid. I wanted to argue, to defend myself, to explain. But before I could form a single thought, the air around me shifted. Images appeared. Not on a screen. Not in my mind. But in the atmosphere itself, like memories projected into the smoke. I saw myself. Standing in the church parking lot, avoiding Pastor Marcus. I saw the way I turned my body slightly, pretending I did not see him wave. I saw the way I quickened my pace, pulling Elijah along, my face set in that polite, untouchable smile I had perfected. I saw another moment. Brother Thompson approached me after service, his kind eyes, his gentle offer to mentor Elijah. I saw myself cut him off mid-sentence, my arms crossing, my voice sharp. I know my son. I have got this. I saw his face fall. I saw the way he nodded slowly and stepped back. I saw the moment I turned and walked away, my head held high, my heart closed. I saw my mother's face on my phone screen, her voice soft and careful. You cannot do this alone forever, baby. You have to let someone in. I saw myself grip the phone tighter. I saw the anger flash in my eyes. I heard my own voice, cold and cutting. And end up like you. No thanks, Mama. I saw her face crumble. I saw the call end. I saw myself stand there in my kitchen, my hands shaking, my jaw clenched, telling myself I was right. Telling myself I was protecting myself. But here, in this place, those justifications sounded hollow. The voice spoke again. You built walls to protect yourself. But you locked out my covering. I wanted to argue. I wanted to say I had good reasons. I wanted to explain that I had been hurt, that I had watched my mother beg and cry and break herself for a man who did not care. I wanted to say I was just trying to survive. But the words died in my throat. Because deep down, I knew. I had not been protecting myself. I had been isolating myself. The images shifted. The atmosphere grew heavier. And then I saw something that made my heart stop. My apartment. My living room. The couch where Elijah and I sat together every night. The hallway leading to his bedroom. The door cracked open, the night light glowing softly inside. And then, his room. Elijah was lying in bed, his small body curled under the blankets, his eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling. His chest rose and fell quickly, his breathing shallow, his hands gripping the edge of the blanket like it was a shield. I wanted to reach for him. I wanted to run to him, to hold him, to tell him Mommy was there. But I was not there. And then I saw what I had never seen before. Shadows. Dark shapes hovering over his bed. Not solid. Not physical. But real. Oppressively real. They moved slowly, circling him like vultures, whispering things I could not hear but could feel. Elijah's eyes darted to the corner of the room. His lips trembled. His voice was barely a whisper. Mommy, they are back. But I was not there. I was at work. At a meeting. Handling everything alone. The voice spoke again, and this time it was not just in my soul. It was in my chest, pressing down like a weight I could not lift. You removed the covering I placed over you. And your home became vulnerable. I tried to speak. I tried to scream. But all that came out was a broken sob. The vision continued. I saw the spiritual atmosphere of my home. No covering. No protection. No authority. Just emptiness. And into that emptiness, the enemy moved freely. I saw the nightmares that I dismissed as imagination. I saw the fear in Elijah's eyes that I tried to solve with logic. I saw the sleepless nights, the clinging, the trembling, and I saw myself, exhausted and alone, trying to fix it with night lights and music and rational explanations. But I never prayed with authority. I never anointed his room. I never called for help. I handled it alone. And I left him defenseless. My hands pressed harder into the burning stone. My body shook. Tears streamed down my face, hot and uncontrollable. I thought I was protecting him, I whispered, my voice breaking. I thought I was keeping him safe. The voice was quiet for a moment. And then it spoke again, softer this time, but no less absolute. Submission was never about your worth, Janae. It was about your protection. The images shifted again. I saw women I knew. Women from church. My grandmother, strong and graceful, her home filled with peace. My aunt, who had raised 4 children with a husband who led and protected. Women who thrived under godly covering, whose homes felt safe, whose children walked in confidence. And then I saw myself. Alone in my apartment, carrying burdens I was never meant to carry. Exhausted. Defensive. Isolated. I saw the weight on my shoulders, invisible but crushing. I saw the way I snapped at people who tried to help. I saw the way I pushed away every hand extended toward me. I saw the difference. Their homes had peace. Mine had fear. Their children had covers. Mine had nightmares. They had trusted God's order. I had rejected it. The voice continued. You believed submission meant weakness. You believed covering meant control. But I designed it to shield you. And you called my design oppression. I covered my face with my hands. My whole body trembled. I was wrong, I whispered. I was so wrong. But the voice was not finished. You were not just hurting yourself, Janae. You were shaping your son. The vision shifted one more time. I saw Elijah, older now. A teenager. Maybe 16 or 17. He sat alone in his room, his shoulders slumped, his eyes distant. I saw confusion in his face. Uncertainty. He did not know who he was supposed to be. I heard my own voice echoing in his mind, words I had repeated to him over and over. We do not need anyone but each other. We are strong on our own. And I saw the result. He did not know how to lead. He did not know how to protect. He did not know his place because I had never modeled submission. I had never shown him what it looked like for a woman to trust a man, to honor a man, to allow a man to cover her. I thought I was teaching him to respect women. But I was teaching him he was not needed. The voice spoke one last time, and the words shattered me. You thought you were raising him to respect women. But you were raising him to believe he has no place in their lives. I collapsed. My forehead pressed against the burning stone. My sobs came in waves, uncontrollable, breaking me open from the inside. I did not mean to, I cried. I did not know. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was protecting us. But my justifications sounded empty even to my own ears. I had been so afraid of being controlled that I rejected the very thing designed to protect me. I had been so determined not to be my mother that I became something worse. Unreachable. Untouchable. Alone. And I had dragged my son into my prison with me. The weight of it crushed me. The heat pressed down. The regret wrapped around me like chains. And all I could do was weep. The voice let me cry. It did not rush me. It did not speak. It just let the truth settle, let the weight of my choices press down until I could no longer carry them. When my sobs finally quieted, when my breath came in shaky, shallow gasps, the voice spoke again. Now look at yourself. I did not want to. I did not want to see any more. But I had no choice. The atmosphere shifted. The images returned. But this time, they were not of Elijah. They were not of my home. They were of me. I saw myself in moments I had forgotten. Moments I had buried. Moments I had justified and moved past without ever truly facing. I saw myself sitting alone in my apartment late at night, staring at my phone, scrolling through social media, seeing pictures of families, of couples, of women who were not alone. I saw the way my chest tightened. I saw the tears I cried in the dark, tears I wiped away before Elijah could see. But I never reached out. I never called anyone. I never admitted I was struggling. I told myself I was fine. I saw the Sunday morning I parked my car in the church lot and sat there for 10 minutes, watching Pastor Marcus greet people at the door. I saw the way he looked around, his eyes searching. I knew he was looking for me. I knew he wanted to check in. And I saw myself wait until he went inside, and then I slipped in through the side door. I avoided him. On purpose. Because I did not want to be seen. I saw the moment Brother Thompson offered to take Elijah to a basketball game. I saw Elijah's face light up. I saw the hope in his eyes. And I saw myself shut it down. Thanks, but we have plans that day. We did not have plans. I just could not let someone else step in. I saw the phone call with my mother. The one where I hung up on her. I saw her sitting on her couch afterward, her phone still in her hand, her face crumpled, tears streaming down her cheeks. She had only been trying to help. And I had cut her off. I saw every moment I chose control over connection. Every moment I chose pride over humility. Every moment I built my wall higher and called it self-care. I saw my own face in those moments. Hard. Defensive. Closed off. I did not recognize the woman I had become. The voice spoke, cutting through the silence like a blade. Your father left. And you decided you would never let anyone close enough to leave again. The images shifted. I was a little girl again. 7 years old. Standing at the top of the stairs in my childhood home, watching my father load boxes into his car. I heard my mother's voice, desperate and pleading. Please, just stay. We can work this out. Please do not go. I heard my father's voice, flat and emotionless. I am done, Rachel. I am done. I saw him close the trunk. I saw him get in the car. I saw him drive away without looking back. And I saw my mother collapse on the front porch, her hands covering her face, her whole body shaking. I stood at the window, my small hands pressed against the glass, watching it all. And I made a vow. I will never be her. I will never need anyone like that. I will never let anyone hurt me like that. The voice spoke again, quieter this time. But in refusing to be her, you became something worse. You became unreachable. The truth of it hit me like a physical blow. I had spent my entire life punishing every godly man for what one broken man did. I had built a prison and called it protection. I had isolated myself and called it strength. And I had dragged my son into that prison with me. The images continued. I saw women I had mentored at church. Women who looked up to me. Women who came to me for advice. I saw myself sitting in a circle with them, leading a Bible study on identity and worth. I heard my own voice, confident and passionate. You do not need a man to complete you. You are whole on your own. You are strong enough. Do not let anyone tell you to submit. That is old school thinking. God made you powerful. Act like it. I saw the women nod. I saw them smile. I saw them take notes. And then I saw them years later. Alone. Struggling. Rejecting covering. Pushing away godly men. Repeating my mistakes. I saw the seeds I had planted. Independence. Self-sufficiency. Rejection of God's order. I had called it empowerment. But God called it rebellion. The voice spoke, and the weight of it pressed down on my chest like a stone. You built a ministry on independence, and called it empowerment. But I called it rebellion. I wanted to defend myself. I wanted to say I was just trying to help them, trying to keep them from being hurt, trying to teach them their worth. But the words would not come. Because I knew. I had not been helping them. I had been leading them into the same trap I fell into. The images shifted one more time. I saw the trajectory of my life if I had continued. I saw myself growing older. Elijah leaves for college, distant and confused. I saw myself alone in my apartment, surrounded by success, but empty of connection. I saw the bitterness growing. The walls are thickening. The isolation deepened. I saw myself at 60, 70, 80. Still alone. Still defending my choices. Still calling my prison freedom. And I saw where it led. Here. To this place. To this realm of regret and isolation and suffocating weight. The voice spoke one final time, and the words broke me completely. This is where rejection of my order leads. Not in one moment, but in a lifetime of choices. You thought you were protecting yourself, but you were building your own hell all along. I collapsed forward, my forehead pressing into the burning stone, my whole body shaking. The truth was unbearable. The weight of it crushed me. I had been so afraid of being hurt that I hurt myself. I had been so determined to be strong that I made myself weak. I had been so focused on not needing anyone that I rejected the very covering God designed to protect me. And I had taught other women to do the same. The voice waited. Patient. Unwavering. And then it asked the question I had been dreading. What do you see now, Janae? I could barely breathe. My voice came out broken, trembling, barely above a whisper. I see that I was afraid. I see that I called my fear strength. I see that I rejected the very thing you designed to protect me. I paused, my chest heaving, tears streaming down my face. I see that I was wrong. About everything. The silence stretched. Heavy. Final. And then the voice spoke again. And what will you do if you return? If. The word hung in the air like a lifeline. If I returned. I did not know if I would. I did not know if I deserved to. But if I did. I will submit, I whispered, my voice shaking. I will seek covering. I will teach women the truth. I will protect my son the way you intended. I will tear down every wall I built. I will stop calling rebellion strength. I will stop leading women away from your order. My voice broke. Please, if you let me go back. I will not waste it. I promise. I will not waste it. The silence returned. The heat pressed down. The weight of regret hung in the air. And I knelt there, broken and exposed, waiting for judgment or mercy. I did not know which would come. If you are still here, thank you. Please subscribe if you want more testimonies like this. I stayed on my knees, my body trembling, my breath coming in shallow gasps. The heat pressed down on me from every side. The weight of my choices, my rebellion, my pride. It was unbearable. I did not know if the voice would speak again. I did not know if I would be left here, alone in this place, replaying my mistakes for eternity. But then, the atmosphere shifted. The oppressive weight lifted slightly. The air grew still. And I felt it again. The presence. Closer this time. You see it now, the voice said. Not accusing. Not harsh. Just, absolute. I nodded, my forehead still pressed against the burning stone. Yes, I whispered. I see it. Then understand this. The images returned. But this time, they were not me. They were others. I saw souls. Hundreds of them. Thousands. Women standing in this same realm, surrounded by the same suffocating darkness. And I heard their stories, not with words, but with knowing. A woman who rejected her husband's leadership and destroyed her marriage. A woman who taught her daughters that submission was weakness, and watched them repeat her mistakes. A woman who chose her career over her family and lost both. A woman who rejected every godly man who tried to love her, and died alone. I saw them. I felt their regret. I understood their choices. And I realized I was not unique. This realm was filled with women who had done exactly what I did. Women who called independence strength. Women who rejected God's order and called it empowerment. Women who built walls and called them boundaries. We all thought we were protecting ourselves. But we were all building our own prisons. The voice spoke again. This is not about one choice, Janae. It is about a heart posture. It is about a lifetime of small rebellions that you justified, defended, and taught to others. I saw myself again. Standing in front of my women's Bible study group. Teaching. Leading. Influencing. And I saw the ripple effect. One woman heard my words and rejected her husband's covering. Another woman heard my words and dismissed her pastor's counsel. Another woman heard my words and taught her daughter to distrust men. And that daughter grew up and taught her daughter the same thing. My rebellion did not stop with me. It multiplied. The voice was quiet for a moment. And then it spoke again, and the weight of it nearly crushed me. You were a leader, Janae. And leaders bear a greater responsibility. You did not just live in rebellion. You taught it. You normalized it. You wrapped it in scripture and called it truth. I wanted to disappear. I wanted to cease to exist. The guilt was unbearable. I did not know, I sobbed. I did not know I was leading them wrong. I thought I was helping them. I thought. You did not ask me, the voice said simply. You built your ministry on your pain, not on my word. You led from your wound, not from my wisdom. The truth of it shattered me. I had never asked God if my teaching was right. I had never submitted my words to His authority. I had just assumed. Because I had been hurt, because I had survived, because I was strong, that I knew what was best. But I did not. I had led women into rebellion while thinking I was setting them free. The images shifted again. I saw the women I influenced. I saw their faces. I saw their struggles. I saw the isolation, the broken relationships, the spiritual emptiness. And I realized, some of them might end up here too. Because of me. The weight of that realization was unbearable. I collapsed completely, my body flat against the burning stone, my sobs echoing in the thick, heavy air. I am sorry, I cried. I am so sorry. I did not mean to. I did not know. Please, please. But the voice was not finished. There is one more thing you must see. I did not want to see any more. I could not bear it. But I had no choice. The atmosphere shifted one final time. And I saw Elijah. Not as a teenager. Not in the future. But right now. At 7 years old. He was lying in his bed, his eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling. The shadows hovered over him, whispering, circling, pressing down. And then I saw something that made my heart stop. One of the shadows reached toward him. Slowly. Deliberately. And Elijah did not move. He just lay there, trembling, tears streaming down his face, his small voice barely a whisper. "Mommy, where are you?" I screamed. I tried to reach for him, tried to run to him, tried to do something, anything. But I could not move. The voice spoke, and the words cut deeper than anything I had ever felt. This is what happens when covering is removed. This is what happens when a mother chooses independence over God's order. Your son is not protected. And you are not there. I could not breathe. I could not think. All I could do was watch as my son lay there, defenseless, exposed, crying for me. And I was in hell. Please, I begged, my voice breaking. Please let me go back. Please. I will do anything. I will change. I will submit. I will seek covering. I will teach the truth. Just please, let me go back to him. Please. The silence stretched. Long, unbearable. And then, the voice spoke. Your time is not finished. A burst of light tore through the darkness. Blinding. Overwhelming. I could not see. I could not think. All I felt was a hand, strong, firm, undeniable, reaching down and gripping my shoulder. The heat vanished. The weight lifted. The suffocating atmosphere shattered like glass. And I was being pulled. Upward. Fast. Violent. The darkness screamed around me. The shadows recoiled. The stone beneath me cracked and fell away. I felt myself being ripped through layers of atmosphere, through realms I could not see, through barriers I did not understand. And then, pain. Unbearable, searing pain exploded in my chest. Air rushed into my lungs like fire. My body convulsed. My back arched. My eyes flew open. Bright lights. White ceiling. Faces hovering over me. She's back. She's back. Hands pressed on my chest. Voices shouting. Machines beeping. Janae. Stay with us. Stay with us. I gasped, my whole body shaking, my chest heaving. I tried to speak, tried to tell them what I had seen, but no words came out. Just sobs. Deep, broken, uncontrollable sobs. I was alive. I had returned. But I had brought the warning with me. I gasped. Air tore into my lungs like fire. My back arched off the table. Pain exploded in my chest, sharp and violent, like my ribs were being crushed from the inside. Hands pressed down on me. Voices shouted. Bright lights burned through my eyelids. She's back. She's back. Janae. Stay with us. Stay with us. I tried to speak, tried to move, but my body would not obey. My throat burned. My chest heaved. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would break through my ribs. And then I felt it. The weight. The memories. The revelation. Hell. I had been in hell. My eyes flew open. The ceiling above me was white, sterile, blinding. Faces hovered over me. A doctor. 2 nurses. Their mouths were moving, but I could barely hear them. Everything sounded muffled, distant, like I was underwater. One of the nurses leaned closer, her face coming into focus. Janae, you are okay. You are in Christchurch Hospital. You were in a car accident. You are safe now. Safe? The word felt meaningless. I was not safe. Elijah was not safe. I tried to sit up, panic flooding through me, but hands pressed me back down. Easy, easy. You need to stay still. You have been through a lot. My son, I rasped, my voice barely a whisper, my throat raw and burning. Where is my son? The nurse's face softened. Your son is fine. He is with your babysitter. He is safe. But I did not believe her. I could not believe her. Because I had seen it. I had seen the shadows over his bed. I had seen him lying there, trembling, crying for me. And I had not been there. I need to see him, I said, my voice breaking. I need to get to him. Now? The doctor stepped forward, his expression calm but firm. Janae, you were clinically dead for 9 minutes. Your heart stopped. We need to monitor you. You cannot leave yet. 9 minutes. I had been gone for 9 minutes. But it felt like eternity. Tears streamed down my face. I did not try to stop them. I could not. My whole body shook, my chest heaving with sobs I could not control. Please, I whispered. Please let me call him. I just need to hear his voice. The nurse looked at the doctor. He hesitated, then nodded. She disappeared and returned a moment later with my phone. My hands trembled as I took it from her. The screen was cracked, but it still worked. I dialed the babysitter's number. Each ring felt like an eternity. Finally, she answered. Janae. I thought you were at your meeting. Is everything okay? Can I speak to Elijah? My voice cracked. Please. Of course. Hold on. I heard rustling. Footsteps. And then, his voice. Mommy? I broke. Completely. Sobs tore through me, so deep and violent I could barely breathe. But I forced myself to speak, forced the words out through the tears. Yes, baby. It is Mommy. Are you okay? His voice was small, worried. You sound sad. I am okay, baby. I promise. I just wanted to hear your voice. I love you so much. Do you know that? I love you too, Mommy. When are you coming home? Soon, baby. Very soon. I will be home soon. Okay. Miss Carla says I have to go to bed now. Okay. You sleep good, okay? Mommy will be home before you know it. Okay. Good night, Mommy. Good night, baby. The line went dead. I held the phone against my chest, my whole body shaking, tears pouring down my face. The nurse stood quietly beside me, her hand resting gently on my shoulder. She did not say anything. She just let me cry. I had almost lost him. Not just physically. Spiritually. I had left him exposed. Vulnerable. Unprotected. And I would never make that mistake again. They kept me overnight for observation. I lay in the dark hospital room, the only light coming from the machines beside my bed, and the faint glow of the moon through the window. I could not sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw it. The cracked stone. The oppressive heat. The shadows standing motionless in the distance. The weeping that never stopped. And the voice. You called it strength, but I called it rebellion. You removed the covering I placed over you. And your home became vulnerable. The words echoed in my mind, over and over, relentless and undeniable. I replayed every moment. Every time I rejected help. Every time I built my wall higher. Every time I told myself I was fine, I was strong, I did not need anyone. I thought I was protecting myself. But I was destroying myself. And I was destroying my son. I thought about the women I had influenced. The Bible studies I led. The advice I gave. The independence I preached. I had wrapped rebellion in scripture and called it truth. And they had believed me. Some of them were probably still walking in what I taught them. Still rejecting covering. still calling isolation strength. And I was responsible. The weight of it pressed down on me, heavy and suffocating. But this time, it did not crush me. This time, it broke me open. I folded my hands on my chest, feeling my own heartbeat beneath my palms. Steady. Strong. Alive. I had been given a second chance. Not everyone would get one. I whispered into the darkness, my voice trembling but resolute. I will not waste this. I will not go back to who I was. I will seek covering. I will submit. I will protect my son the way you intended. I will tell the truth, no matter how hard it is. The room was silent. But I felt something shift. Something inside me. Something that had been locked and guarded for years, finally opening. I was alive. And I would not live the same way again. They discharged me the next afternoon. My body was sore, my chest bruised from the CPR, but I was alive. And I was going home. The moment I walked through the door of my apartment, I dropped my bag and went straight to Elijah's room. He was playing on the floor with his toy cars, and when he saw me, his face lit up. "Mommy!" He ran into my arms, and I held him so tight I thought I might break him. I buried my face in his hair, breathing him in, feeling his small heartbeat against my chest. "I missed you, baby," I whispered, my voice thick with tears. "I missed you too, Mommy." I pulled back and looked at him, really looked at him. His bright eyes. His soft cheeks. His innocence. And I thought about the shadows I had seen hovering over his bed. Not anymore. I knelt down beside his bed, and Elijah watched me, curious. "What are you doing, Mommy?" I reached into my purse and pulled out a small bottle of anointing oil I had bought on the way home. My hands trembled as I opened it. "I am protecting you, baby. The way I should have from the beginning." I dipped my finger into the oil and traced the sign of the cross on his door frame, praying out loud as I did. "Lord, I cover this room with your blood. I declare that no weapon formed against my son will prosper. I ask for your angels to surround him, to guard him, to protect him. I submit this home to your authority. I ask for your cover. In Jesus' name." Elijah stood quietly, his small hand reaching for mine. "Is everything okay now, Mommy?" I looked down at him, tears streaming down my face, and I nodded. "Yes, baby. Everything is going to be okay now." That night, Elijah slept through the entire night. No nightmares. No shadows. No trembling. Just peace. And I knew God had heard me. The next morning, I picked up my phone and stared at Pastor Marcus's name in my contacts. My heart pounded. My hands shook. Everything in me wanted to put it off, to handle this on my own, to figure it out first. But I had tried that. And it had almost destroyed me. I pressed the call. He answered on the second ring. "Sister Janae. How are you?" I opened my mouth to say I was fine, to give him the polite, surface-level answer I always gave. But the words would not come. Instead, I started crying. "Pastor, I need help." There was a pause. And then his voice, gentle and steady. "I have been praying for you to say that. When can we meet?" We met that afternoon at a small coffee shop near the church. I sat across from him, my hands wrapped around a cup of tea I had not touched, and I told him everything. The crash. Death. The descent into hell. The voice. The revelation. The shadows over Elijah's bed. The women I had led astray. The walls I had built. The rebellion I had called strength. I told him all of it. And Pastor Marcus listened. He did not interrupt. He did not judge. He just listened, his eyes filled with compassion. When I finally finished, my voice hoarse and my eyes red, he leaned forward and spoke. Sister Janae, I have been praying for this moment. God is not finished with you. But He needed to break you first. And now He can use you. I wiped my face with trembling hands. I do not know how to do this, Pastor. I do not know how to submit. I do not know how to let people in. I have spent my whole life building walls. I know, he said gently. And that is why you need covering. That is why you need accountability. That is why you need community. You were never meant to do this alone. I nodded, fresh tears spilling over. Will you cover me? Spiritually. I need someone to hold me accountable. I need someone to pray for me. I need. Yes, he said before I could finish. I will. And so will the elders. We will walk with you through this. Relief flooded through me, so overwhelming I could barely breathe. For the first time in years, I was not alone. I also reached out to Brother Thompson. I asked him if he would be willing to mentor Elijah, to spend time with him, to show him what godly manhood looked like. He agreed immediately. Within weeks, Elijah was spending Saturday mornings with Brother Thompson. They played basketball. They went to the park. They talked about life, about respect, about what it means to be a man who honors God. And I watched my son change. He laughed more. He slept better. He walked with confidence. He felt safe. Because he had a covering. I stepped down from leading the women's Bible study. It was one of the hardest things I had ever done. But I knew I had to. I wrote a letter to the women I had influenced. I told them the truth. I confessed that I had taught them independence instead of God's order. I confessed that I had led them astray. And I pointed them back to Scripture, back to God's design, back to the truth. Some of the women were angry. Some were confused. Some did not respond at all. But some thanked me. One woman wrote back and said, I have been struggling in my marriage for years because I refused to let my husband lead. I thought submission meant I was weak. But after reading your letter, I realized I was the one destroying us. Thank you for being brave enough to tell the truth. I cried when I read that. I began attending a new Bible study led by an older couple, Brother and Sister Grant. They had been married for 40 years. Their home was filled with peace. Their children walked in the faith. And they taught me what I had never learned. How to submit without losing myself. How to trust without fear. How to receive covering without feeling controlled. Slowly, I began teaching again. But this time, I did not teach from my wound. I taught from God's word. And the women who came were hungry for truth, for order, for the freedom that comes from living in God's design. I also called my mother. I apologized for the way I had spoken to her, for the years I had shut her out, for the walls I had built. She wept on the other end of the line. I have been praying for you, baby. I never stopped. We rebuilt our relationship slowly, carefully, with grace. And for the first time in years, I let her in. I started sharing my testimony. At first, just at church. Then at women's conferences. Then online. And the responses came flooding in. Women from all over the world reached out to me. Women who were where I had been. Women who had rejected covering, who had built walls, who had called independence strength. They thanked me for being honest. They thanked me for warning them. They asked me to pray for them. And I did. Because I knew what was at stake. I knew where that path led. And I would spend the rest of my life pulling women back from the edge. 1 year after my death, Elijah and I were sitting on the couch together, reading a bedtime story. He looked up at me, his small hand resting on mine. "Mommy, I do not have bad dreams anymore." I smiled, tears filling my eyes. "I know, baby." "Why did they stop?" I thought about how to answer. And then I said, "Because Mommy learned how to protect you the right way." He nodded, satisfied, and laid his head on my shoulder. And I knew. This was what I had been fighting against. This peace. This covering. This protection. And it was beautiful. If you are hearing this, it is for a reason. Do not ignore the warning. Do not wait until it is too late. If you are a woman and you have been rejecting covering because you were hurt, because you were afraid, because you thought submission meant weakness, I am begging you to reconsider. Hell does not care about your pain. It does not care about your education, your independence, your strength. It only cares about your exposure. Examine your heart today. Seek covering. Submit to God's order. Protect your children. Stop teaching rebellion and calling it empowerment. Your daughters are watching. Your sons are watching. Your influence matters. Do not wait until you are standing where I stood. Choose life today. Thank you for listening. I do not know where you are watching from, but I want to pray for you tonight. Stay connected. There are more warnings people need to hear. Subscribe, and watch the next testimony on your screen.